No, I feel like I'd be louder than you.
Well, I'm more of a smooth type of podcast type of ordeal. I really don't get amped because you don't like when I get amped because you said it makes you nervous.
Make you nervous.
That's what's up. Welcome back to the podcast. I am Mr. Mo.
And I'm Tiff.
Again.
Tiff.
You okay?
I like that, how that came out.
Has it been that long?
No, it's just that's how my voice is crackly.
I'm telling you, your voice getting hoarse too.
Tiff. I'm Tiff.
That's what's up. So, you had an interesting day today.
Always have interesting day.
You were able to be off school today. Away from the steam mill.
You said I was?
Away from the steam mill.
Oh, man.
You know, does that help you reset a lot? Or
it does.
Are you just like over it?
Over it.
You know, just the whole thing of just life. You know, sometimes when you do something repeatedly, when you do get a break from it, it's kind of like whatever. It's not really like yay, but it's kind of like
Now, do I wish I could have like break after break after break? Yeah, but nah, it's relaxing. But then I've been reflecting on what you said. It's like, hey, now you have appointments, but like we never really.
Yeah, what's got something to do?
So,
off days are not really off days.
Yeah, it's just appointments.
It's just one, you know, just one appointment for the most part.
2. Well, today was 2.
Oh yeah, that crap. I'll be forgetting about the one in the morning. It's just completely like.
Yeah, but typically it's one, but it's just how it's already set up. So for me, on those days, it's just depending on the appointment. It's like it's easier. All right, just be off the whole day. So that process.
So do you ever enjoy it though? Is it like a joyful thing?
Yeah, I like being off. Right. I do. I mean, I don't know if it sounds bad or not. But...
I mean, you need to. I mean, even God rest.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Because you really don't rest on the
weekend. Yeah, weekend is a go.
And then because not always Thursday evening. The girls try to make it my Thursday evening, but Friday evenings and then Saturday I'm with you. And then that I'm working when I'm up there finding stuff to do.
It happens.
So it's just so that's why it's never really
let's talk about that. I want to talk about that because you actually came up to the spot and was actually working. I'm talking working. You know, sometimes you come up there, you may chill, but like you're never really put to work like that. You know what I'm saying?
But I wasn't. I don't think I was put to work. Go ahead.
I'm saying you were. I think you were taking orders. I think you were.
No, I was just handing them out for the person.
That's about the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you're not in the the thick of it, but you're still in it. You know what I'm saying? Contributing.
Yeah, I like that. I like I call it new people. I feel like I do my best work with new people.
That's strange.
I know.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know. Is it? I just like meeting new people. And I think that's the biggest thing. Not that I don't like.
You get bored easy with the people around you.
Yeah. Because it's like new. I mean, and I think the difference is like the spot brings not only new people, but the spot is bringing new people from different places. And
True.
I like culture. I like travel. I like those type. Like that's my interest. And so being that I can talk to people, that's different. Because most people, I mean, I'll be honest, most people that we know, they really don't do a whole lot.
Man, we don't do a whole lot either.
We don't, but I mean, but I think we're still at the end of the day, we're well versed if you put me and you together and all the things.
I mean,
but I've just always been a person into culture. Like I love, like I said, culture and travel, two of my favorite things.
I guess that's where I would say go hand in hand. I like new experiences. Yeah. I'm all about exposure. And you know, I really truly feel like exposure will determine either your lack of or the increase of your success in life. Right. Because I didn't understand that until I think I got exposed to Myrtle Beach, and I always go to that story of Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach showed me a whole different thing, especially when I went out there for business purpose. It showed me a whole different thing. That was a different type of exposure. That okay, we can own things, we can run things. Right. You know what I'm saying? And you can have great fun while doing it. I think that's really what catapult me to entrepreneur and basically not really working for nobody.
Yeah. And I mean, and then the other side of that is, even though like I've always worked for somebody, I've always tried to make time and opportunity for, well, let me back up. In my younger life or early years, I didn't work. I just went to school. So that opened opportunity for me to be able to maneuver and go and do things that I wanted to do or try. And then being that family is spread out, like I had no how do I say? I really had no choice but to be able to travel. Because my dad lived in one spot, my grandma lived in one spot. You know, family was just always spread out. So between the two, that was kind of where I was able to get most of my opportunities to travel. And so that, I mean, but my interest for travel and culture was sparked early on because of the group of people my grandma worked around. She worked around a dynamic group of people, being in the radio industry. And so like those people didn't look like me. Like they didn't talk like me. They didn't come from where I came from. And so their experiences and them kind of taking under the wing, that was where that culture part came from. So that was cultivated at a very young age, even with travel. Like my grandma made sure that I had multifaceted. Like I said, the only thing she didn't get me on that she was trying to get me on was the boat. That was the only thing. That's the only form of transportation I have never been on was the boat. I did the train really young. I did the airplane young. And so by the time I did become of age, I already knew, like I knew how to fly.
So how important do you think that is as far as to have that exposure? Because you got exposed to that young. I ain't get exposed to that until I was like well in my adulthood.
I mean, I think it's important because, like you said, it's experiences. A lot of our schema, like our background knowledge or our prior knowledge, is built upon experiences. So if we aren't afforded those, then we don't know. I know a lot about different things and cultures because one, I ask questions, and then two, when I do meet new people, like I said, it's easy for me to talk. Even though I'm more of an introvert and I can sit in the house all day and I ain't got to be around people or interact on a consistent basis.
That's crazy, dude.
I know.
You're an introvert who loves to meet new people.
I do. But I learned that sitting in the airport. I mean, because that was before things.
True introverts be so upset with you right now.
They would be. That's why I'm like, contrary to popular belief, like I'm a homebody. I really don't like to be in large crowds. Yet I'm always in situations where I have to be in large crowds. but I learned to talk to people and have conversation. Be traveling really is where it started. Because when you're like when I'm in the airport, I'm looking, it's like, well, where we going? What we doing? And people spark conversations. And I think since I've been young that I can remember where people just always wanted to, like, they just talk to me. And so it's like, you're a stranger. Like, that's how I felt. But it's really important that we are exposed to different things so that we have those experiences to be able to build background knowledge. Because I think if I had stayed just in my own hometown, it would just be the same. Because I went to, a school. Because let's talk about, like, you went to a Christian school.
Wow. Put me out there. Wow.
And then I went to predominantly black schools from where I grew up in. And we had the sprinkle of Caucasians. And then the ones that we did have, like, they I
don't want people to think that my whole life was because you just stopped me. It's like, oh yeah, this dude's a softie.
He's soft. He's definitely
He's never been through nothing.
But that's
went to a Christian school, guys. We're good.
But I'm just saying, like, even like hearing you talk about like the things that you did, I'm sitting here like, hey, I remember lockdowns, I remember bomb threats, I remember like all of those different things. But I like hearing those experiences because that's different for me.
I once went to a Christian school. Let's get it out. Let's get it out the mud. Went to a Christian school, but I eventually went to a public school and got open to even in the Christian school. I don't want people to think Christian schools are just so safe and different other things like that, because I was still a little rascal. And but going to the public school, predominantly black and a sprinkle of other different races. My public school was very popular, very popular. But see, that's the difference, though. Yours is super duper popular. Super duper to this day.
Duper. Like when I saw your town looks totally opposite than my town, right? Completely opposite. But it it can confuse you though. But when I saw that, I'm like, this is y'all's the high school. Like when our high school like within the last 5-10 years just expanded to make it look more modernized. Where when I rode past y'all school, it was like, what? This is huge.
But I don't want you to think it's always been like that, because it hasn't. It hasn't.
Think about the stadium y'all playing in there.
But you gotta say, well, that's a little unfair.
Like, I'm just saying that.
If we wasn't next to the Hall of Fame, then none of that would exist.
I was trying not to say it.
Well, since we're there,
you went to the Hall, you played in the Hall of Fame. I'm playing in Hugh Mills Stadium, gang-infested area, to where you can hear shooting outside the stadium at any time.
That's right.
And y'all got like bright lights, big fields.
Boys shooting bright lights. That ain't nothing but. Look, it's. But we're not gonna go back and forth with which towns are terrible. I think they're all terrible. I think it's just places like. That's why I tell you, don't get it twisted.
Yeah, but I can tell, like I said, from where you're from, and that's why I like this last time, well, a couple summers ago when we went back to visit. We were able to get around, and you were able to kind of drive me around a little bit more, because then it was like,
after we got out of captivity.
After we were held hostage.
Yeah, Jesus.
But like even looking at that, looking at y'all's houses, and then looking at like the housing that we had, it's like I get a better picture of when you say certain things and why you're like, no, I'm not going back. Like, you're not going back. I can really truly see that. my going back is like, okay, well, if we did for whatever reason have to go back, we still got other options of areas to live into that don't look as, you know.
I've never seen going back as a good thing.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, for anything.
We ain't trying to go back.
Like, I'm never going back. Sometimes I don't even want to go to visit, due to the fact that it sparks a lot of PTSD for me. You know, traveling those streets and those roads and different other stuff like that. It was never a good time. Well, I won't say it wasn't never a good time, but a lot of it was me growing up in a place where trying to find my footing, and trying to fit in with different types of crowds, and ended up in some of the most stickiest situations. And it was just like, I never seemed to blend in like for a long time. Like it would start off good, but then it'd be something crazy to go left. Or and when it went left, it didn't go left 50%. It went left like 100%.
Like all the way.
And I think
all the way up.
I think I was thinking this the other day. I was like, man, my mom probably should have never let me off the porch. Should have probably kept me on that doggone porch. Now that I think about it, because I got into some of the most craziest things that I won't speak of because I'm not proud of it, number one.
Yeah.
And, you know,
she would have kept you on the porch.
You know, she should have just kept me on the porch. I probably would have had a whole different life if I'd been kept on the porch.
She let you off the porch.
But when I got off the porch, man, it became a whole different thing. I became a whole different person.
Because she let you off the porch.
Just because I stepped one foot off the porch.
You got on the first step.
Trying to tell you. Became a whole different monster. And still to this day, find myself fighting those demons and fighting those cravings to not go back to who I was, because it you don't get saved and it just goes away.
Right.
Like, it's a daily fight to maintain righteousness.
Oh, all the time, yeah.
It's a daily fight to literally not hit the reverse button, to literally go back and then use an excuse of, hey, I was just in my feelings. Like, I don't want to be one of those Christians who be like, who flies off the handle and then just be like, well, you know, I just had one of them days. Okay. But I probably should have just stayed on the porch. And, you know, I just look back at that and I just like, man, maybe my mind had something. Maybe that protecting, that shield, I should have just really leaned into. Yeah. And now when I look at, you know, our sons, you know, our daughters, like, man, I plead to them, like, stay on the porch.
Don't leave the porch.
Because it's some of the most craziest things that is outside and off that porch.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, Jay. I know you ain't about to run that vacuum cleaner. Oh, what to say? What's up, man? See, he should have stayed on the porch.
He got off the porch. He got off the porch and we trying to push him back on the porch.
You know what I'm saying? But I should have just stayed on the porch. Man, stay on the porch, y'all. Stay your tail on the porch. Stay in the safety and
of the porch.
In the housing of protection. I never understood it until, like, man, golly.
Yeah, stay on the porch. Right?
So much should have been, like, it could have been prevented if I'd have just stayed on the porch. Got too big for my britches.
You did. Yeah.
But exposure, I mean, you know, I think this is the topic where we're at. Just exposing. I know for me, exposure, I've found out, is key.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just for me, but it's for those who are around me, because a lot of people, they don't see it. And I think I was going through a lot of the video clips yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
just clicking on and going through the unfinished work,
right,
of different podcasts, different things that was started then stopped, and started
mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
stopped, and started then stopped.
But I mean, even though you had things start and stop, like you still had things birthed out of it.
For sure.
Cause there was things like that you said, and you was like, "Yep, did it." Like you were able to still check off.
Oh, that I did.
That you did. Others may not have, but it was stuff that you did.
Yeah.
Like,
I love execution though.
Yeah, but I mean that's because of when you stepped off the porch and you were exposed to those things. From there, it was you had to move in order to execute whatever plan that was at hand at the time.
So you said I should have stepped off the porch like I did.
Yeah, but I mean, because if you look at it from the standpoint of now, what if you had not stepped off the porch and had the exposure to the things you had?
I'd have been a millionaire with no kids.
I'm done. All right, thank you guys for tuning in to today's show.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh man. Yeah, that's true because your exposure led you down a different. Okay,
you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
Your exposure led you down a path.
It's not that I don't love my kids. I love my kids. First of all, I adore my kids. I am head over heels for my kids. Jeez. But anybody would tell you, when taking on a responsibility that you're not really fit for or understood to handle, yeah, it becomes something totally different. You better grow up.
Yeah, because but that's what I was saying in the beginning too, though. Like you're exposed, like you stepping off the porch exposed you to different things. When I stepped off the porch, I was exposed to. I travel. It ain't like I didn't do things where it's like, okay, well, I could have been further along, but I still made sure that the things that I wanted to, because I didn't have kids, I was able to do, or because, and a lot of those times, like I said, my travel didn't come from like my mom. My mom didn't travel until after I had traveled. Like she still talks about now, like I wish I could go here or I wish we can go back there. And I'm like, yeah, that would be cool, but I don't know about that winding road and I don't know how we're gonna get there. But so it was opportunities where there were places that I still want to go and haven't been. But when you have kids, and luckily we have kids that now travel. I was telling somebody that the other day. I was like, yeah, I want to go. I forgot where I said I wanted to go. And I was like, yeah, I said, the girls are big enough now. I said, to where we've taught them how to travel. Mm-hmm. But I remember being their age and, Grammy taught me how to travel. She taught me, okay, this is how long we got to go before we're going to stop. All right, this is what but the only difference is she packed food. We had sandwiches and chips, and so she had everything already made, especially for longer distances, so we didn't have to stop a lot. But I remember she always tried. I never had to take my own pillow and blanket because when she came to pick me up, I had a pillow and blanket. Mm-hmm. And that was that blue blanket. I don't know if we still got it or not. That's that blue blanket that Jimbo had that was kind of tattered. You probably remember, it's like bluish turquoise. I was straight. But that was my traveling. That was my traveling blanket, and that blanket was probably, I think, older than me. But I just remember. So
our kids' traveling blanket is a Bucky's blanket.
They got a Bucky's blanket. Several let's take it. Bucky blanket, multiple ones, and a Bucky's pillow. Yeah. My pillow was the pillow off the bed or a little throw pillow.
It's
and the blue
your
blanket.
choice, though. You can have a Bucky's blanket.
I can't. I have one. Pillow. I don't want a pillow though.
Wow.
But I got a blanket.
Sorry, Bucky.
But I'm saying when I was their age. When I was their age, that's what I traveled with. Now
you had a lot of Mickey Mouse stuff though.
I love Mickey.
Like I think
I still have a
When
Mickey
I first
thing
went
in
into your house,
my old bedroom.
in
Do you
your
have-
old bedroom, I was just like, wow, this is a little bit scary.
But
This
that came
is
from
Walt Disney like a
exposure.
mug.
It was.
It's like a shrine in that mug.
It was.
Had
It
like
was.
the awkward. Oh man, this girl is crazy. But it showed me what you like, though. I mean,
in my defense, I didn't grow out of it until I got little. I mean, I still low key like really want to go to Disney. I really low key want to go for as an adult. I think it'll be different. But
I mean, you know they're snatching people over there, though.
I know, man.
We can go. We can run it.
But
let's run it up.
But that was exposure too, because I didn't know what that was. We got afforded, Graham worked, and she worked in a radio station, and so they would be doing giveaways, and so she was able to get tickets to the theme parks. So the only way I was able to go to, Busch Gardens and Universal, because I remember Universal before they had all the other stuff. Disney before they had all the other stuff, and because Busch Gardens was the hot spot, you would go to Busch Gardens over Tampa, boom, that's where you went. And then you had, because that was your theme park and your zoo all in one. And so that was my first zoo that I went to.
Cedar Point, that was our stuff.
So and so it was a different type of thing, and then you would, and like when I first went to Disney, like Disney was crazy. And so I think my last Disney trip I was 18. And then we started doing Universal, because Universal was then geared towards your movies. And it was more of, I'll say, big kid style. Mm-hmm. And so that was just how I got acclimated to those different things and exposing. But in that's where I saw culture. Because those types of places attract people from all over. And you would see the big tourist groups from like China and different places like coming over, and they all had their different color backpack, and and that was that.
And there's a lot of different cultures too.
Yeah.
I think when I first went to the airport, just exposed to so many different cultures in one area. It's just like, wow, this is truly the world.
Yep.
Packed in one area.
Yep.
Everybody going different places. Everybody doing different things. I just thank God for it at that time, being in a committed relationship, because
I cannot, yo.
You know, I keep it real. I gotta keep it real. Like, I was, Jesus, he's good. Cause I mean, that type of exposure at that late in the game, and you decide to go ahead and wifey, fiance up. Integrity, people. Integrity. I have that.
You see, and that's the one thing too. But the difference now is, like, when you flew out here, the difference now is, all right, well, then and now, you could just, the airports back then, you had no TSA. There was no checkpoint. Anybody could just willy-nilly just walk to the gates and walk down. Like I remember when Gigi would walk me up to the gate, stay with me until my plane departed, walk back down and leave.
That's crazy. In Ohio, it's not like that.
Like what?
It's not as hectic as it is in like Atlanta.
Yeah, because you got a major hub.
Yeah.
You got your international flight. So
that I did see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay.
The smaller ones are not as how to put it? They're not as boasting with a lot of people. You still see culture, but you don't see as much of it as if you were in your big, your big hubs.
Yeah.
Because even flying out of Atlanta and then going to,
I think it's the most difficult to get lost in the small one. Yeah. Like everything is like right there.
It's right there. You see it, like, yeah.
I remember when I was a kid though, it seemed like it was bigger, But now I'm like, oh man, this is tiny than a mug compared to Atlanta.
I remember my first time flying out of Atlanta. I was so scared because my gate was on one end, and I had a connecting flight, so I had to get to this side and like sprint to the other side.
Yeah.
And not knowing how far it really was, like it was crazy.
You got to get your cardio.
You have to try to read the signs, but it's so many people. Because that was like my first time flying, and I was flying by myself. So I was like, man, I don't know what, but I had to go back to the basics. Graham taught me in driving a car, read signs. Like you always, I'm like, babe, where are you? You know, I don't know. I'm like, look at the signs. I can't. Graham taught me to read the signs, and then she also taught me like license plate. We used to do the license plate game. How many different license plate states can you see from different places, different license plates? So we did that. So that's why when we're traveling, I always look at the signs, and I learned that from her. I learned looking at, you know, where's the gas station, where's the food, where's the lodge, and where's the rest area, like all of those things. But like I said, that was through exposure. But think about it. Our kids hadn't traveled like that.
Nah.
And so when I remember when we put the boys on the plane. We put the boys on the plane for the first time.
Help us, Jesus.
You know, even taking them to something as simple as the beach. Because most people, I forgot, somebody asked, and I said, yeah. I was like, no. I was like, our kids' first time at the beach, like for real first time, I was like, that was when we took them to Jacksonville. When Gigi was sick. Like, my sister one had been, but she was a baby. She don't remember that. Nah. She was an itty bitty baby. Like, she wasn't even talking yet. She was still crawling. So that's the exposure that, like, I like how we said, hey, during this time of the year, this is what we're going to do. Because it affords us to have that opportunity to expose our kids. And then it's me showing you too, because I know there's a lot of things that you haven't been exposed to.
Definitely. So, still to this day.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. So that's why I look at like, okay, well, what's different, or what can we do different that we haven't done?
That's why I always look for you as far as for the traveling. Like, okay, what, you know, map it out. You can't ask me. So I was like, we going to Buc-ee's. Again,
we going back to Buc-ee's. We just went to Buc-ee's.
Look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it.
But I think your exposure helps me want even more exposure. Even that's why I know that with starting different businesses, what that would do for us as far as time wise. Having our time back, being able to travel the way we want to travel. I know that it gives so much freedom and liberty to, you know, go here and go there and still handle business.
Right.
And it's just even, you know, exposing our kids to even stuff like this, like podcasts, content. You know, that's why they keep coming in and out, walking. You guys recording? You know, and I know that they are watching. I know that they are watching our consistencies. Yeah. And I know that they will become that, because you become what your parents do.
Right.
And what you see them do majority is literally something that will shape and mold you. Because I know for me, I just seen my mom go to work, and that was it.
Yeah.
I don't really remember her really having sit down time with us like that. I think we would have movie night every once in a blue moon or different other stuff, but for the most part, I do remember her working. And then on Christmas, we'll have gifts. But for the majority of it, I've never seen her just be involved with us on a high scale. Like, that's why I'm making my business to be involved with them and you know, kind of play around with them and just be in their space, because they're definitely in ours. So why
definitely
not be
all the time. Jesus help us.
But I just don't remember that whole ordeal, like having that type of connection. Even with my grandmas, you know, like I would go over there, but we'd just go over there.
Okay.
It wouldn't be like, you know, like you travel with you.
Yeah.
You know, you went here. That I wish
Yeah.
my people would have did something like that, but it wasn't like that. It was just like we'll go over certain relatives' houses. Like, all right, y'all, let's go ahead and play the game. You know, that would be our time.
Yeah.
That would be our thing. Like I would go with my cousins. I love to play games all night. We get to eat pizza and all that different other stuff, which to us that was highlight for us.
Right. It's something you look forward to.
Yeah, there's something, but it happened every so often. But for the most part, nobody really exposed us to traveling. Hey, as a family, let's get together and go. Let's rent out this spot and let's go here. Let's go to Walt Disney. Man, never heard nothing like that.
Yeah.
But that type of exposure, something I want to, that we will do as far as with our children. And then they will do with their children.
Yeah.
And then their children will do the same thing. I think that's true legacy right there.
Yeah. Because it's teaching them that not only, like you said, with the time, but it's exposing them to those experiences. Because like I like when we go to the so most sister too, she thinks she's my mama now. But she be like, Mommy, come on, because you're gonna start talking and you're gonna get caught up in the conversation. You said we can't be in here too long. And I laugh.
Stick to the script.
She do stick, Mommy. You supposed that's how I feel like you said. And so it's reminding me, but it's also teaching them too that, the experiences come from being cordial to people, because then when you're cordial to people, you learn other things, not only about them, but you learn things about yourself. And so sometimes that's where I find, and it's this, despite, how people say, oh, this is, you can't just talk to everybody racism this and racism that. And I'm just like, yeah, I've experienced that firsthand, but that has not tainted that experience that I had did not taint racism, prejudices, like literally firsthand when I lived out west. But that didn't taint me from still being who I am.
But I think, even with racism, I'm from a town where we know that racism exists. And, we were taught about it. But and I always go back, we were always shown these movies that, where, the culture is being done differently and just, to me, it's just pure sin, honestly. Yeah. It's that's what happened when man is in control, and a lot of my friends, I didn't find true friends until I started hanging around other cultures.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I can scream, I was done wrong racially,
right.
But at the end of the day, I was done dirty in my community.
Right. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's another exposure. Like we would get upset if somebody who looks different from us treat us wrong for that, whatever 30 seconds to 40 seconds that time is. But
we don't look at our own.
But we don't look at our own, who would literally
drag you through the mud.
Drag you through the mud, put the gun to you, gun butt you, or run up on you, steal your stuff, and
then keep moving.
But but let's shine a light on the 30 seconds where a person is being who they truly are, and then on the other hand, in the same place, that people are just being who they truly are. That's what sin looks like.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's where I got out of the whole thing of that. That's what exposed me to looking at people differently. Yeah. Oh, this is not.
Yeah.
This is just people being people. These are broken people breaking other people.
And they really don't know. And that's why I said,
they know. It's just, they just don't give a doggone.
That too.
When you don't give a doggone, you'll treat anybody like you'll treat anybody.
Yeah.
You know, but that's my exposure on that. So I'm like, well, oh my gosh, how could you?
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. But even in those
Racism
moments,
does exist.
right?
I never
Yeah,
said it didn't.
yeah.
But, you know,
But I think too. At the end of the day, it's all how you handle it too, because you can't clump everybody in one thing.
Yeah,
I learned from that, and it was like, oh, okay, so that's how that felt. But then from there, you don't clump, like I don't clump everybody in the same, or didn't after that point. Like, I was like, man, I don't believe that happened, but it happened. Like it happened. Move forward. But that was an experience that I can say, hey, from that experience, I learned a lot, not only about other people.
Yeah.
And I won't even just say, from a specific race, but you could say too, different regions.
Yeah.
Living in different regions, I learned a whole lot, not only about them, but I learned a lot about myself. Okay, well, what could you tolerate? Because most people were like, oh, well, I wouldn't do this and da da da. No, I still did my day-to-day, what I was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not deter me from, what most people would do. I'm not going to associate at all with this.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to stick. No, like that didn't do me like that. And so even in those times, it was kind of like, oh, wow, okay. I didn't know that. I'm from the South. You move to you move to different regions, and that's where you start exploring different things.
City different. We don't really.
That's what I'm saying. It was completely opposite. So from those experiences, that's why I'm able to connect. Like when I enjoy my position at what I at work, because it affords me to be able to connect better with students, because I've been able to talk with people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
People from all types of background. So my empathetic or sympathetic ways in most circumstances is different from other people, because I have had those experiences. Mm-hmm. Been there, like almost, been there, done that. And I can either have it mold me negatively, or I can have it, mold me in a way to be able to be beneficial and use it to, an advantage, meaning being able to make the connections that need to be made. Because the advantage is, hey, let's learn about each other so that we can make the necessary connections to help each other at the end of the day.
Yeah, everybody needs somebody.
Yeah, and that's how, and that's why I love like the connections and seeing our kids interact with like their peers, especially like in the school atmosphere, because I can see them, see us in them, because the way we interact with people is really how they interact with people. Mm-hmm. And so that type of exposure really, like I said, it just helps build that knowledge and helps build the experience that we need to be able to be model citizens in the world.
So, but as we close up,
yeah,
how important is exposure for you as a person, and what are some tips you can give somebody to help them be more exposed?
Ooh. How does exposure help me as a person? It helps me to be, it's relatable. I'm able to relate to people. I see beyond, or I'm able to see beyond the exterior, and actually truly listen to people, hear their full story, or sometimes it's passing by in the store and I may start talking to someone, but I'm able to be able to have a connection outside, even if I don't ever see that person again. I'm still able to make those moment connections and whatever, and it's almost like I look at it as, how people say, okay, you light up on the hill and people just automatically drawn to you. Mm-hmm. Like that, sometimes I feel like it happens, because sometimes I'll butt into stuff and I don't know how I'm gonna be taken. I'll give you an example. We were in a store, and I was with son in the store, and there's a man on the phone, apparently, I guess, with his wife, trying to find what she needed, and he couldn't find it. And I'm listening, I butted completely into their conversation. Son standing back like, my mama gonna lost it. And so he's completely just standing back. But I just butt in and I helped the gentleman. And I mean, he was an older gentleman. He didn't, I mean, it could have went to the far left. It could have went, I mean, it went, it was well received. And I was like, you can do this, you do that. And, he was just grateful. Because I see you, I see you struggling. But most people don't do that. Like, we just keep on walking past. But me helping someone helps me to be exposed in situations that I wouldn't normally set myself in. And that's I if that was me, just good old Tiff, I'd be like, yeah, man, you figure that out yourself. But me being the believer Tiff that I am, the saved Tiff, it's how would I feel if this was my husband in the store and I'm trying to explain, would I want someone to help? Or what if this was my child in the store trying to do something and they need the help and it's just not connecting? Like, that's how I always look at it. Or what if that was, my dad in the store? Like, I always go there. And that's the thing that I've learned. That's the thing that my exposure to people from all walks of life has allowed me to be able to do, is to put myself out there, even in situations where I typically, flesh-wise, am timid. Some of the things that people could do as far as exposing themselves, I mean, definitely stepping out of your comfort zone. I like being at home, and don't mind being at home on the recliner under my blanket, chilling. TV watching me watching TV. But in certain instances, I'll make myself get up and I'll make myself go to the store just to be amongst people, because I never know who I'm going to come in contact with that day. So you don't necessarily have to travel to a different state, different country, different town. You can still learn and grasp exposure right in your own small area. Because I know, like, where we live, there are other things that we haven't even probably done in the city. Some things, or places that I was like, oh, okay, I didn't think about going there. And that little thing there can provide exposure. Public libraries, also reading books exposes you also to a lot. They don't necessarily have to be self-help books, but that's where your imagination starts going. When you are reading just novels, and watching shows. I love watching. I don't watch the trashy reality shows, but like I'm watching, what is it called? Special Forces, I think it is. And it's different stars going through special ops missions, and they're testing themselves. They're either retired. One of them is I can't call his name. I think it was Mike Piazza, like baseball players, like a lot of those retired players, and they're going through these things. But as they're going through these things, like they're talking about, why am I like this? They're exposing themselves to new elements, but in that they're learning about themselves. Exposure allows you to learn about yourself in the process. So anyway, whether it's the grocery store, a regular store, whether it's when you go on vacation, just strike up a friendly conversation. Saying hi or a smile at someone opens up a lot. And those are just some things that, you could do to open yourself up to more experiences, open yourself up to be exposed. And I think it's contagious. I think exposing yourself, I think it's a contagious thing. What do you think? Because I see how you're looking.
I mean, I think exposure is good. It gets you out of that box.
Yeah.
Even though I speak about, not getting off the porch. And I think it was just a way of me protecting the young me, protecting the young boy that I felt like the protection was lifted. But when I look back at it, it created me to who I am today. So stepping off exposed me to some crazy dangers, and it made me keen on certain things in life. That's why in certain situations I can know, okay, this is gonna go left, because I've been exposed to this over and over. I've been trained without being in training camp, so it's just kind of like, yeah, life will train you. Either life will give you simple regrets, which I don't believe in regrets. Is either you just learn from it. Failure is truly about learning from it. So I mean, I'm glad I got off the porch. I'm glad my mom let me off the porch, because that's why I am a strong, righteous man to this day, because of the things I've been through and the things I've seen. And then for the person who's having a hard time, okay, how do I just get out there and just start doing new things? Sometimes you gotta break your old habits. And I know fitness is such a huge thing. Some people want to change the way they look, change the way my appearance. If I change my appearance, I know I feel good about myself. But if you don't change your insides, then you'll look good on the outside, but then feel dirty on the inside, feel less valuable on the inside. The inside is the very thing that will stop you from being used, because then you have value, so then nobody can really run over you like that. So focus on the inward part first, transform that, expose different things. I think that it was real big when you talk about reading. I never really got into reading. So now that I'm an advocate reader, not just of the Bible, but of other different things, I do self-helps. I do read a lot, quite often, because it has strengthened me mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I know those are the components that we need to be strengthened in this whole walk and in this whole world. I mean, exposed. I mean, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm not really. I don't think I'm a conversation starter. Depending on what it is, I will get it going though. I'll get the whole line into my comedy bit. Depending on what.
I can't. But you do. But what are some ways that you break that though? Like if you're in a situation where you necessarily wouldn't technically start the conversation, but if you're put in the situation where to get rid of that awkwardness.
Common interest. Like usually you start conversation with somebody who has the same interests as you. Oh, you like Friends? Oh, I like Friends too. Oh, you like, see, that's common interest. Yeah. It's common interest will always draw and strike up not only a good conversation, but 9 times out of 10, you'll make a friend that day.
You will.
You make a friend that day. Like, especially, I've seen my wife do it. We in the same aisle with the same person. So, I've been working on this, and that's how you build it. I mean, it's such a beautiful way to not only build friendship, but it's a great way to network.
Yeah.
And my wife does great at talking to people, and when we're out 9 times out of 10, I'm on the swivel. My eyes are here, there, make sure everything is good. So I know she's not gonna be looking. She's gonna be in deep conversation with whoever it is. That's where I come in and play my role. Yeah. We have different roles we play when we're out. I'm the protector. She's the talker.
I'm trying to get connections and find out information.
So it all works in a major great way. But we want to thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to try our Rise Coffee. Link will be in the description. It will help you out so much.
Yeah. energize, sleep, whatever you need.
Yeah, we just gave somebody some of the cocoa, and literally the person had a praise break in the middle of church. You know, listen, that goes to show you that this Rise Coffee is something to shout about.
We should have recorded that. We need that feed.
It is something to shout about. She was so ecstatic about it. She I mean, bless her heart. But I am Mo.
I'm Tiff.
Thank you for watching. Remember, keep God first.
And the rest will be added.
And we love you.